The German ambassador to Namibia and the Namibia Institute for Democracy signed an agreement on an election support project earlier this year. The initiative's objective is to develop a social and political environment conducive to transparent, free, fair, lawful and balanced national and presidential elections this year. Now, joining me in the studio now with more on this project is the program director at the Namibia Institute for Democracy, Naita Haishoono, to tell us more about the inauguration of the House of Democracy as well as the election support program. Good morning, Naita. Thank you for coming in.
It's a pleasure being in the studio. Thank you.
All right. So the House of Democracy was inaugurated yesterday.
Exactly.
Tell us about the build-up to this event.
The House of Democracy is actually the house that belongs to a German foundation, which is called the Hans Seidel Foundation. They do similar work like the Konrad Adenauer Foundation or the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, which are more known German political organization. Now, they had this building since the 90s. And in that building, the inhabitants of that building are IMLT, Inside Magazine, Namibia Institute for Democracy. So we thought, since we're all working on democratic issues in this building, let's, Hans Seidel Stiftung renovated the building, and also to have a launch and to just show who's in the building, we thought, let's brand the House of Democracy.
Okay. So who are the inhabitants of this particular house?
The Institute for Management and Leadership Training, IMLT. They are known to Namibians as giving training in different regions in Namibia. Inside Magazine, Namibia's award-winning investigative magazine. The Namibia Institute for Democracy, we give basically civic education, and there is a computer company as well that ensures that all the technical issues are taken care of. So we are the inhabitants. People also always ask, NID, you moved from, you were in Foul Street, you went to Love Street, where are you now? And we had some bad financial years, but now we are back with a bang, and we are part of the House of Democracy.
And the House of Democracy, of course, located on Frans Indongo Street.
Exactly.
All right.
Close to Polytech.
Close to Polytech. Wonderful. Now, the NID has started a, you call it a election support program. Exactly. Tell us about this.
The election support program, we want to make a citizen aware, or we want to prepare Namibians for the upcoming elections. We know that the Electoral Commission for Namibia is doing voters' education. Different political parties are doing voters' education, but they cannot stomach the whole work alone. They need assistance, and this is where civil society organizations usually come in. And we as a civil society organizations, since we give civic education, political education, and we are not new in this, we've been there, we've been giving civic education the past 23 years. And this year we thought, let's once again train Namibians, inform Namibians, train political parties on their campaign strategy, on their media strategy. Let's educate Namibians in public debate. And let's not do the usual public debate where you have one clever person talking to you, but let's rather work with the youth. Let's work with Free Your Mind. Let's have some funny skits. Let's show the people a bad situation and a good situation. Let's work with song nights. Let's work with our poets. What we do this year is a bit different, a bit more artistic.
So the main focus,
to the people.
The main focus, young upcoming voters.
Young upcoming voters, exactly. Okay. Or the political party training is focusing on political parties, but the public debates will focus on the young people. We will have a public debate in Soweto Market, and also public debate at Zoo Park, and which is focusing on promoting youth participation in elections. You know, Lorica, this year the focus is very much on 50-50 sharing women and men.
Yeah, the gender representation.
Exactly.
Yes.
But the youth has also said, don't just leave us out. Don't just focus on men and women. Also focus on youth, because
and closing that age gap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the youth is a majority in Namibia.
Of course.
The youth there are nearly 60%, and they don't feel really represented in the echelons of powers, and they also need to be educated to be there. So it's not just about educating men or educating women and promoting them, it's also educating youth. I know youth is also men and women, but we specifically want to focus on the youth.
So what are the discussions, what are the areas that these public debates will be looking at?
One of the area, we will have a public discussion at the Nathaniel Mahwilili Center in Katutura. There we want to educate the voter on making an informed decision. And there we're working with Free Your Mind. what we come up with is giving you situational analysis. You know, we will have Free Your Mind presenting, for instance, a situation where I would ask you, who are you going to vote? And you'll be like, oh, you know, I'm who, and I'm going to vote my usual party, and it's because I like this person and I like that person, and because my parents have been voting for that. So this is the usual situation. And then we'll present you another situation where we'll be like, no, actually, I'm going to look at what the parties have to offer, and according to that, I'm going to vote.
Yeah.
And this is basically what's going to happen at Nathaniel Mahulili Center, making an informed decision. At the Gemeindet Center, we will have obstacles to reconciliation and stability in the Namibian state and society, where Professor Tutemeyer, who was the former Minister of Regional Local Government and Housing, he wrote a book 2 years ago with NID about the obstacles to reconciliation, where he will discuss out of his book the factors that are hindering Namibians. Are we still too much of a tribalistic society?
Yeah.
Are we still looking too much at personalities? Are we still looking too much at the past? Are we not moving forward? So those are the obstacles to reconciliation. And at Zoo Park and at UN Plaza, we will have promoting youth activity and youth participation in elections. Why should the youth vote? You know, in the last elections of 2009, the regional local government, the regional and local elections, only 38% of Namibians showed up for elections. What happened to the rest? Why are they not voting?
There is definitely a huge sense of voter apathy in the country.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where we want. This is what we want to tackle. We want to give people a reason to vote again, but not giving them a reason to say the usual reasons that, well, this is the party that did A, this is the party that did B, this is the party that your parents voted.
Yeah.
But rather, what issues are the political parties standing for? That's why we also have this campaign, which is called Namibia I Vote, which is like, I don't just vote for a political party, I vote for Namibia.
Yes.
I vote for Namibia's future.
Yeah.
I vote for issues in Namibia.
Yeah. Now, we've taken a look at how you will be focusing on the young people of the country, but how will this election support program impact role players in the election process?
Exactly. One of the main role players are political parties. And political parties, as you have recently read in the media, they're not so keen on embracing the new medias, the social medias, the Twitters, the Pinterest, the Facebook, the LinkedIn. And we want to show political parties that embrace that. If you want to reach out to the youth doesn't really discuss your issues, maybe coming to your office and discussing that. There might be some youth that do that, but most of the youth, they take their opinions to Facebook.
And the issues are in the palm of their hands. It's
exactly.
On their cell phones.
From their cell phone. You know, I just have my smartphone and I send my SMS to this newspaper. I send my opinion piece on Twitter. I do my vision board on Pinterest. So that's why we will do a media campaign with political parties where we say, do it differently, work with the media and work with different medias where you really reach out to different people. And also they have to look at their campaign plans. Political parties, especially the opposition parties, are complaining about not having enough money. But not having money doesn't mean you can't do anything. Namibians are working every day with a very small budget, and they make things happen.
Yeah.
Political parties can do the same.
All right. Well, Naita, before we wrap up, we have to, of course, focus on the 50-50% gender representation. How is the election support program going to support this endeavor?
We have a special bonus for Namibians. We want to invite Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She's known as the author of The Harp of the Yellow Sun, The Hibiscus Flower, and she was recently on TED Talks, not recently, it's a bit of a while ago, on TED Talks, and Beyonce included her TED Talk in her song Flawless, you know that song Flawless. And she's a young African woman who is talking about feminism, and feminism is not just a female issue, it's an issue that we should all embrace.
Yes.
We would like to, we are planning on inviting her and talking to different Namibians, not just to women, but talking to men and women, talking to the youth on why she's writing about what she writes, why she's talking about what she writes, to just really inspire Namibians to look at themselves and to say, what is it that I can do as a woman? And this 50-50 gender presentation, a lot of people always, when they hear about gender, they think it's just about women. It's about men. We want to empower our men as much as we empower our women. We want our men to be just as empowered, to listen, to be heard, and to be spoken to. So this is the special bonus that we have besides the other programs.
Well, thank you very much for coming in, Naita. All the best luck with your election support program. I think it's going to be a hit with the young people.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
That was a program director of the Namibia Institute for Democracy, Naita Haishoono, to tell us more about the inauguration of the House of Democracy as well as the election support program. Now.